Struck him out. Stand, baby. Let's play.
Tonight from inside Safeco Field, the Mariners trying to get some momentum back on their side. It's the middle game of this 3-game series. The Mariners and the Birds from Baltimore. The Orioles a lopsided win last night. Tonight they face Andrew Albers making his Mariners debut in the lineup that he'll face tonight, Mike.
And that's a good lineup. Baltimore second in hitting, third in home runs this year. And we'll take a look at Manny Machado. Grand slam home run from Machado last night. That was his 23rd home run on the year. Jonathan Scope hitting third, having a great year, hitting over 300. Leads the team with 25 home runs and 85 RBIs. Joey Rickard will round out the 9 for Baltimore. For Andrew Albers, this will be his 13th start. See his numbers for his career 2-5 record, a 4.41 ERA.
In his career pitching at the major league level with the Twins and the Blue Jays. He's marking his first start since last year with Minnesota at the major league level, and he starts Tim Beckham off with ball 1.
Again, his fastball average 87 miles an hour. Slider, curve, changeup. Primarily a slider.
Well, Beckham has been red hot since being acquired near the deadline from the Tampa Bay Rays. He is truly hitting .500 since coming over to Baltimore. Last year we saw Jerry Dipoto go out and acquire Wade LeBlanc from AAA Buffalo with the Blue Jays system, and this year he gets Andrew Albers from AAA Gwinnett in the Braves system, where he put up some very good numbers. An ERA just a little bit north of 2.5 and tremendous command. Able to get his first strike tonight.
Well, and again, talked about the offensive numbers for Baltimore. Very good offensive club, so he's going to have to live on the edges of the plate, keep the ball down in the zone, probably mix it up a little bit more than he's used to. I think for Scott Service, he'd like to see him get through the lineup probably a couple of times.
Slap the opposite way. Martin can't make the catch. Beckham will lead off single. He began last night's game with a home run.
Looks like an elevated fastball hits the other way. Martin, pretty good jump on it, just not able to get to it, but at least he keeps it in front of him. Take a look at the defense for the Mariners. Already getting the start in left field with the lefty on the mound in Miley. Danny Valencia is at first base, and Mike Zunino will do the catching.
Well, here's Manny Machado, a grand slam last night. The 6th of his career and the 2nd this road trip for Machado. Albers starts him off with strike 1. Off the hands, 0-2. Albers becoming the 16th different starter this year for the Mariners. That is now just one shy of a club record set back in the inaugural season of the Mariners. 17 starting pitchers back in 1977.
The thing that is amazing about that, Aaron, is we watched the club have their injuries last year for the pitching, and it was one of the things that Jerry had talked about. And you have a certain number in mind, and everybody's a little bit different. How many pitchers you think you need, not only at your major league level, but in your organization because of injury. I don't think you can prepare yourself for 16 different starters.
There's depth and there's impossible depth. Segura step on second. 2 outs. Double play ball wipes away that leadoff single by Tim Beckham.
That's what you want to see. He's working ahead. It's Machado to chase the pitch off the plate away. A weak ground ball to short.
Now, we asked Scott yesterday how far past the breaking point of the actual amount of depth that a team can realistically prepare for, and he laughed.
Yeah.
And he's the number that he mentioned, both as his time as a manager with the Mariners and also in the front office, was between 8 and 9 starting pitchers you plan for, maybe 10 to 11. Obviously, the Mariners far past that point. Scope throttles this to left field, and just like last night, A first inning home run for the Orioles. Jonathan Schoop having a career year, his 26th home run. Orioles slugging 4 home runs last night and an early home run this evening.
And then the home run on and off speed pitch. We'll take a look at it. It looks like a changeup, middle away, 80 miles an hour.
Now fortunate for that double play to wipe away Beckham. Keeps that to a solo shot. Adam Jones looks at a strike.
Well, a good fastball at 90 miles an hour.
The 0-2. Jones fouled one off his shin or his foot last night. Does that again here. Still 0-2. Scott Service employing his 37th pitcher altogether with Alvarez tonight. The next closest team, the Twins, are at 31. A distant second.
They have to be getting close to a record, I would think, Aaron.
They're within 3 of the all-time major league record for most pitchers used in a single year. That injury-riddled Rangers club of 2014 used an all-time high 40 pitchers. That is the only team in major league history to use more pitchers than the Mariners this season. Fights it off the opposite way. Base hit for Jones. And keeps this first inning alive for the Orioles.
For Jones, still hobbled a little bit, limping towards first on the base hit. Baltimore will not run much. They like to hit the ball out of the ballpark. They are last in stolen bases.
And Jones, a guy who historically has not run much. He clears the plate now for Trey Mancini, having a fantastic rookie year. His 21st home run coming last night. You know, for Andrew Albert's really immaculate timing, got here just in time for team photo day.
That is good timing.
It was taking a number of hours today before batting practice for the guys. 1-2. th pitch coming up for Alvarez here in the first. The 16 starting pitchers used by the Mariners this year matches the most used by any team a season ago. The Braves used a total of 16 starters last year. Strike 3 call. Dialed it down to 69 miles an hour and flutters home for strike 3. On to the bottom of the first inning as we welcome back former Mariner Wade Miley. We look at the Mariners lineup he'll face tonight.
The Mariners are 6th in average. You can see Segura going to lead things off. Guillermo already hitting second, hitting .327 versus lefties this year. Nelson Cruz, a home run last night, his 29th home run on the year. Mike Zunino, his 18th home run last night, so hopefully that will continue. And Danny Espinosa getting the start at third base, hitting 8th in the lineup, 4 for 11 with the home run against Miley. For Miley, a 6-9 record, high ERA, over 5, 121 and a third. You can see 108 strikeouts, but 69 walks. He can lose the strike zone from time to time. I think you can get yourself into some pretty good hitters' counts.
His first pitch on the way to Segura, and there for a strike. Is there an ironclad approach, Mike, to a guy who you look at the numbers and you can tell right away has had a hard time with command?
I think you just have to look in the middle of the plate. If it's not there, I think you can be patient early just to see where he's going to be at. After an inning or two, you have a better feel for it, and then maybe you have to change. But I think initially when you see the numbers and where the ERA is, that you have to find out what kind of strikes he's going to throw. And we talked about it from time to time. It's the quality of the strikes.
Leaping stab by Chris Davis at first base takes it away from Segura, 1 out. The rest of the defense.
And getting the start in center field will be Adam Jones. Strong throwing arm, so you have to be aware of that if you are on the bases. Tim Beckham, as Aaron mentioned, is coming over to Baltimore. He will get the start at shortstop, and Wellington Castillo, the former Mariner, will do the catching.
One up, one down. Here's Guillermo Heredia. Up in the number 2 spot tonight for the Mariners. First pitch clocked into center field for a base hit.
So that .327 average against lefties is going to go up. Hitting second in the lineup. Solid line drive. Fastball out over the plate. I think a lot of right-hand hitters against the lefties like the ball out over the plate. And it's especially true against somebody like Miley, who has the slider and the changeup. If you stay on the off-speed pitches a little bit longer. Good at bat.
Go ahead run coming to the plate. Here is Cano. Batting with 1 out and Heredia at first. Heredia off the back at first base. Davis running him down. Beckham's got it to Scope. The tag. 2 outs.
Well, we'll take a look at it. Didn't appear that he was going to try to steal. Pretty good move from Miley. And here you'll see the tag by Scope.
A frustrating start to this home first inning. Robbie looks at strike 1.
You can see it's been a tough homestand. Swept by the Angels. Dropped the first game against Baltimore. They get things turned around.
And it was in that Angels series where the Mariners lost James Paxton to the disabled list. That is the cause for the Mariners debut of Andrew Albers here tonight. Scott Service saying optimistically Paxton to miss 3 weeks with the pec injury. 1-2 now to Cano. A huge loss for the Mariners.
I think if the Mariners can stay in it, hang in there until they get to September 1st, we're going to see a number of call-ups on the pitching side of things. Probably guys that will be out in the bullpen. Talked to Scott. I think it was on Friday after Paxton was injured. That breaking ball in the dirt. And talking about the bullpen in general and his starters. And when you have starters that are inexperienced at this level, he is more comfortable, I think, for them to get through the lineup twice, not a third time. We typically see the numbers how they change quickly. So that means the bullpen's going to work a lot more. especially when you don't have Paxton in there, who was the guy that you kind of look to get you 6, 7, maybe 8 innings and give those guys a bit of a break. There is no break now, so.
Miley's 2-2.
Everybody will get plenty of work.
And there are no immediate signs of the rotation changing for the Mariners. That will be a very full bullpen.
Yes.
Standing room only come September as a result. Side sat down in order despite that one-out single by Heredia. An inning complete. Orioles lead it by a run. Sports is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Buy Steel. To find your local Steel dealer, visit steeldealers.com. And by your local Toyota dealers for all Toyota offers, go to buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Another pleasant night here in Seattle as we make our way to the second. And that's the whole family to be out the ballpark as Mark Trumbo will lead things off for the Orioles. Make sure when you bring your little one to Safeco Field for the very first time that you pick up the certificate commemorating the first visit to the ballpark. That is something that is very frame-worthy. Former Mariner Mark Trumbo looking at strike one. Of course, I say that. We didn't do that with either one of ours because you got strollers, you got mom, you got the diaper bag, but it's still good advice. Got a lot for mom to handle. One and two.
For Albers, he missed with the first 3 pitches of the game, falling behind. Right now, 24 pitches, 18 strikes. It's a pretty good changeup right there to Trumbo. Pitched on both sides of the plate, elevated his fastball a couple of times.
Lined into left field for a base hit. 4th hit early for the Orioles.
Trying to get in on his hands. It's in off the plate. Pretty good hitting by Trumbo. This is a line drive into left on a fastball that was off the plate.
Leadoff man reaching second straight inning. Here is Chris Davis. Chris Davis helping to make for a very memorable major league debut last night for Thiago Vieira. Even more memorable than it would normally have been. Many of you have probably seen the highlight by now. First pitch for Vieira in his big league career. It was a 99-mile-an-hour fastball that Davis hit at about $120 right back to the mat, and Vieira in the greatest form of self-defense that you can imagine, making that catch right in front of his glasses.
think the thing that surprised me about it is how well he played it off. Oh, as if he had it all the way.
He saw it coming. If he blinked, he wouldn't have. A strikeout of Chris Davis. Second strikeout tonight for Andrew Albers. Now, Scott said that when Vieira came back to the dugout and that inning was over with, and he put his hands essentially on his shoulders as if to say, hey, congrats, great job. He said he could feel his heart beating through his jersey.
Wouldn't yours?
Oh, I would say so, and that's even without the line drive. 0-1 to a former Mariner. There's a lot of them in this series. Former Mariner for a brief time, Wellington Castillo. Putting up good numbers this year for the Orioles. Scott also said that Vieira, as we saw last night, pitches with glasses on, and he was breathing so hard his glasses were all fogged up.
That's a problem. Especially if you're a hitter and he's throwing 100 miles an hour.
Seriously. And as we learned from Scott, his nickname that was given to him during spring training was Big Sweat because let's just say he perspires a little bit, especially in the springtime sun. And apparently it was true last night as well, even on a cooler evening here at Safeco Field. The 1-2. Albers trying to work around a leadoff single by Trumbo. Andrew Albers, 31 years old, out of Saskatchewan, former teammates at the University of Kentucky with James Paxton. Another foul ball. Buck Showalter down his 8th season as the Orioles skipper. God, you spent some time with in your playing career, Mike.
Buck, you bet. He was the third base coach with the Yankees when I was breaking in.
Another line drive into left field once again. That pushes Trumbo into second base. Now let's go back to last night. Thiago Vieira. This is the last warm-up pitch, mind you. Now the look of last night's home plate umpire Gary Cederstrom. Wow.
Yeah.
Joey Rickard, his first big league strikeout. Turned out to be a pretty clean 1-2-3 inning. And here is Rickard. Zunino wanted to get on the same page here with Albers.
Baltimore's really done a lot of things well offensively this year. The pitching has been an issue for them. They're hitting .298 as a team with runners in scoring position.
I mentioned last night Trey Mancini came into this series hitting .373 with runners in scoring position. To have a number that high as a unit, you got to have some guys who are just off the charts. Trumbo at second, Castillo at first.
That's their offense. Basically the reason why they're in the same situation that the Mariners are as far as the wild card goes. The offense has carried them.
Now, Manny Machado got off to a very slow start this year, but has been red hot over the last month or so. Bucks team's winner has won 6 of the last 10. Seager, pardon me. Danny Espinosa at third base. Looking like Kyle Seager.
Good reaction. Hot corner. And a line drive on a fastball that's on the inside corner. A rare day out for Kyle Seager.
Dealing with the stomach virus. Hopefully Kyle will be okay for some day baseball tomorrow. A hard out number 2. Trumbo and Castillo staying put. Top of the order, Tim Beckham on the first pitch out to center. Dyson settles underneath for out number 3. Couple men left stranded for the Orioles. We go to the bottom of the second. Baltimore on top. Our way to the bottom of the second. We're just referencing some day baseball tomorrow. We hope to see you right here inside Safeco Field. The Mariners wrapping up the homestand, wrapping up this series against Baltimore with a very special 12:40 Mariners matinee first pitch. You can pick up your tickets by going to mariners.com. First pitch to Nelson Cruz, missing from Wade Miley for ball 1.
Nelson has really been driving the baseball lately. Mentioned that he hit the home run last night, his 29th. 5 home runs in the last 6 games. 7 home runs in his last 9 games. As he tries to get to 40 home runs again for the Mariners.
That would be 5 straight seasons with 40 home runs. Pretty impressive stuff.
Probably like to hit a few more against his former team.
No doubt about that. I beg your pardon, 4 straight. I'm already projecting into next season.
I like it.
Full count. Nelly, the only member of the 40 home run club the last 3 years. Let's see what he's done the month of August. One of the hottest hitters in the game. And Cruz draws a leadoff walk. First walk tonight from Miley, who has struggled with ball 4 this year, to say the least. Along the lines of tomorrow in the final game of the homestand, we'll take a look at our Century Link. What's next? Marco Gonzalez, another somewhat new member to the Mariners rotation, taking on Ubaldo Jimenez, who has spent some time in the bullpen this year, has since come back to the rotation for the Orioles. We're on the air at noon. We've got a 12:40 first pitch.
Well, and again, it's the reason why the offense is going to have to carry this club for the next couple of weeks. We've talked a lot about the pitching and the bullpen and the starters and all the changes there, but the offense has been having a pretty good year. And you see Miley tonight with ERA over 5, and tomorrow. ERA over 6. Take advantage of that.
Jimenez, another guy who has struggled with walks historically, not just this year. Nothing in 2 on Valencia. I don't know, Mike. Giancarlo Stanton is beginning to threaten Junior a little bit. 6 straight games with the home run. Pretty impressive stuff. The all-time Major League record is 8 consecutive games. Junior doing it. Tom Mattingly doing it. Dale Long, the first ever. It was back in the mid-50s. Griffey in 1993. Mattingly in 1987.
44 home runs on the year.
That paces the game. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Valencia. I mean, you were there when Junior was doing that, Mike. Did it become comical after a while? I mean, there are some guys who don't get 8 home runs in a season, let alone in consecutive days.
You know what? At that point,
Valencia into left field. Galloping catch on the track by Mancini. A hard out, number 1. Trey Mancini, the subject of tonight's Big Fish Casino big catch.
It was possibly going to be a double for Danny Valencia. But able to run it down right in front of the warning track. I think at that point where Junior was at, we expected it.
It was disappointing if it didn't happen.
Yeah, it really was. He was that time the best player in the game, and he was already doing things that were unreal, and just kind of get used to watching him do something special on a nightly basis. The thing I liked about it is I think it was after he hit 4. It might have been 4 in a row, possibly 5, but from that point forward till he had the 8th one, Jay would ask him every day if he was going to hit one, and Junior was feeling pretty good about his swing because he would say, yes, I'm going to hit another one today. And then once he had the 8th, on the 9th he came in and asked, and he said, you know what, not feeling right today. My swing's a little bit off. I think he said he was hooking the ball a little bit more. Wasn't getting the normal carry. And that was it at 8. And although he just missed the home run in the Kingdome out in right center field. They had this corner that was up there towards the walkway. And he hit a line drive that hit right in that corner. So if it had been maybe a couple of feet to the left of that, it would have been number 9. Said it was a double. That was a lot of fun watching him.
I can imagine.
Yeah. It's great to have him in town over the weekend.
That sure was. Good to have him here as we honored Edgar. One of the only times that you will ever see a guy wearing his retired number. Pretty unique situation.
Yeah.
Count rushes full to Zunino now. 1 out, 1 on. Cruz a leadoff walk.
Mike with a home run last night, and it looked as if, because of the count, probably 3-1, he knew he was going to get a fastball. And it's a little bit harder that time, trying to do some damage on a fastball that was probably borderline up out of the strike zone.
Now Mike thinking he took ball 4, but fastball strikes. Zunino, the second strikeout victim of Wade Miley. Two outs, Cruz at first base. In steps Leonis Martin. Look at Miley to begin this season. He was just rock solid for the Orioles. A 2.32 under an average in April. Even in May, not that good, but was still steady. An ERA south of 4. But since the beginning of June, it has been a mighty struggle for Wade Miley. His under an average pushing 7 with a Opponents hitting nearly .310 against him. And major command issues.
When he was here, one of the things that he talked about a lot was his pace. He would work really fast. Seems to have slowed down a little bit. Don't work quite as fast as he used to. It used to be a problem for him, making mistakes in the middle of the plate.
And he really should be pitching tomorrow. He is the perfect getaway day pitcher because of that torrid pace that he works at. The third fastest right now in the majors this season. Only Carlos Martinez of the Cardinals and Mike Leake also of the Cardinals working at a brisker pace, and we are talking the slightest fractions of a second. So splitting hairs really. Miley talking earlier this year about last season with the Mariners and trying to slow down a little bit. He said he just was not comfortable with that. It just didn't work well for him. This is a guy who's been doing it obviously for a long time at that pace, and it's something that he wasn't used to doing and not comfortable with it.
Yeah, he said he started doing it. I believe it was when he was in college. Yeah. Just the coach wanted him to pick up the pace, and he talked a lot about it, and there's some benefits to it for sure, especially if you're trying to help your defense out, keep them involved in the game. But I think for him, he would get faster when he was getting into more trouble and compounding problems because of it. And that's why they tried to slow him down a little bit.
You can count on one hand the number of guys in the game today who get faster with men on base. It is the polar opposite of that.
Very true.
With 2 outs, a room service hop to Jonathan Schoop. And then retires the side. Cruz, that leadoff walk goes no further. We go to the third. We'll be seeing Adam Jones. Nothing. Include Mariners baseball in your Labor Day holiday plans. Monday, September 4th is BECU half price day at the ballpark, where fans can score select seats for $13 plus enjoy happy hour specials. So stop by mariners.com/specials for tickets. Machado leads off the Orioles third, fouls off the first pitch. Soft fly ball. No man's land. Martin coming over, and it is a fair ball. Machado coasting into second base.
And a bad break for Albers right off the end of the bat. Pretty good changeup away. Machado hitting. Martin was shading over towards right center field, so he wasn't able to get to it. It will be a leadoff double.
Well, that is a cotton ball soft double for Machado, who we know can do some serious damage, but that time just a little flare. In steps Jonathan Scope, a home run earlier, the only run so far in this ball game. He pops up the first pitch. Espinosa over for a look. Out of room, met a foul ball. A look at what Jonathan Scope did, third batter of this ball game.
That just middle away from him. His 26th home run on the year.
Now you're looking at a reason why the Orioles are still very much in this wild card hunt, because of Jonathan Scope. He entered this series leading the Orioles in virtually every offensive category. And a lineup that is littered with guys with some pretty impressive resumes, offensively speaking. That man being one of them. Albers had 0-2. Away from Zunino, and Machado is into third.
That's a wild pitch. Breaking ball in the dirt. And the infield playing back. Nobody out.
2-2. Albert spending some time back in 2014 pitching in Korea. Made nearly 30 starts. Spending this year with the Braves AAA organization. A little close, and it was.
Good fastball at the bottom of the strike zone. Aaron, I think this year especially, we've talked a lot about the strike zone and all the high strikes, but that strike at the bottom of the knees is something that isn't routinely called. I've seen a lot of umpires miss that pitch that's right at the knees.
I'll tell you what, good friend of yours, we were just talking about him, Don Mattingly, Donnie Baseball, the manager for the Marlins, saying the other day that he is in support of the electronic strike zone. Whenever that technology is fully developed and ready.
Right. Well, it'll be interesting. It's not any particular umpire or crew. It just seems across the board. You see it so many times on the tracer where it looks like it's at the bottom of the strike zone, definitely on the plate. I'm not talking about the edges.
Right.
It doesn't get called, which is difficult, especially when you consider the amount of home runs that are being hit. Pitchers are trying to pitch at the bottom of the strike zone to get the ball on the ground. But hitters are smart. They're not going to get the call. They'll wait them out. And Jones having a great year. Runners in scoring position.
Runners on the corners. Finds this pitch off the knuckles. 0-2. Next pitch will be number 50. Now, since the All-Star break, the Mariners bullpen working the third most innings in the majors. And not that far off the leader. The Yankees pacing the group, then the Reds, then the Mariners. Nobody out, first 2 men aboard. Albers most recently pitched into the majors last year with Twins, same team that he made his major league debut with back in 2013. Was up on the mound of the Blue Jays in 15. Dyson breaking on it, makes the catch. Machado coming home. Here's a throw on one hop. Machado is toast at the plate. What a play by Gerard Dyson.
He has consistently done this all year long. We talked about his arm. Just a perfect strike to Mike Zunino, and he tags him on the back before the hand touches the plate. For Dyson, he's been leading the American League in outfield assists. This will be another one. His 11th. And it's not just the strong throwing arm that he has, but he is really accurate. It's an easy throw to handle if you're on the field. Typically, it's a one-hop strike every time.
That was a thing of beauty. Scope, the only man left at first. Mancini on the first pitch. Espinosa is there. It looked like it could be a pretty damaging inning. First 2 men reaching, runners on the corners. Brings up Maguse for the Orioles, thanks in large part to this man. Nothing Orioles lead as we make our way to the bottom of the third.
Yeah, another great defensive play by the Mariners outfield.
You see one almost every night, it seems like. Danny Espinosa getting the start tonight at third. Espinosa came off the bench last night. Seager got the start, but has been under the weather. As you mentioned earlier, dealing with the stomach virus. Was sent to the doctor. And if you look for Kyle Seager, since he became a full-time starter back in 2012, he has by far started the most games among major league third basemen. It really isn't that close. Chase Headley a distant second. And he's 100 games off the pace.
One of the things we were talking about on the radio show today, the pregame show, is and what brought it up was Cano, because of the numbers that he is starting to put together, over 500 doubles now with the big weekend that we had for Edgar. He's a few home runs short of 300 in his career, 300 hitter. So numbers close to where Edgar was when you look in those categories, and trying to project where he was going to be at the end of his career. And my point was just to that. For Robbie, the same way. These guys play all the time. They play in as many games as they possibly can. You cannot get them out of the lineup. And when you have that many at bats, who knows where his numbers are going to be at the end. But this is where the Mariners are really fortunate. So is Scott Service, is that Cano, Cruz, and Seager, the guys you have in the middle of the lineup, all of them want to be in the lineup every single day. And that's not always the case.
It's a stop the presses moment when you see one of those guys not in the lineup.
Exactly.
On a daily basis. Out number 1, third strikeout for Wade Miley. Wearing a seatbelt is your best defense in any crash. Please always buckle up. Help us reach target zero. Learn more at WADriveToZero.com. First pitch missing to Dyson. Mike, I know it's different for every player, and injury history and age and all that type of thing, but how much harder is it to prepare for a game physically? We're talking about just the wear and tear on your body, as we're talking about Seager, in August and September as it is in April and May.
It's an interesting thing, because when you talk about Cano, Cruz, Seager, the guys that are in the lineup every single day, you go back and forth as far as how you're feeling, physically how you're feeling. We know with Robbie, for example, he was dealing with the quad. We mentioned the other day that it looks as if he's running much better. Nelson's had a number of leg issues this year. Today he may be feeling better. It just depends really on the players. But that being said, I think more than anything, the impressive part to me is that they're in there every day, and it's the mental grind of this game on a daily basis that will wear you down.
More than the physical side.
I think so.
Dyson cracks this out to right center field. Rickard is there. 2 down.
But I think that for these guys, it's something that they have just become accustomed to fighting through. They just get past it. So when you see guys in the middle of August, for example, and all of a sudden they're struggling for 3 or 4 days, managers typically go, well, he's about due for a day off. I need to give him a break. Their attitude is, I just need 4 more at bats, and I'll get it figured out. And we've seen that now. You look at Nelson, he kind of had that little bit of a dip, and now look at what he's doing. Been hitting home runs every day, it seems like, at this point in the season. So they're special as a group.
Segura puts it in play. Scope with the backhand. Side sat down in order by Wade Miley. We've completed 3. Orioles have the lead. Mariners debut. The 16th different starter this season for Scott Service and the Mariners. 1 run over the first 3 innings. That run, a solo blast by Jonathan Scope in the first. Has given up his fair share of hits over the first 3 frames, helped out by some stellar defense, particularly Gerard Dyson. Danny Espinosa in the mix with that as well. He'll face Mark Trumbo for the 2nd time.
He's had to throw a lot of pitches through 3 innings, getting a little bit better with every inning. Throwing a lot of strikes. I like to see that. Pretty good changeup. Hasn't thrown his slider a lot yet. Again, trying to get through the lineup for the 2nd time.
You mentioned throwing strikes. His numbers with AAA Gwinnett in the Brave system: 19 walks, 115 strikeouts. He was one of the best starters in the International League this year before being traded. Cano calling off Valencia, making the catch.
Look at it tonight. 56 pitches now, 41 strikes for him. 15 batters, 12 first pitch strikes. So a couple of the keys that we're talking about: being able to pitch on the edges of the plate, change speeds, elevate the fastball from time to time. Most importantly, work ahead of these guys is a big key, and he's been able to do that with some quality pitches early in counts.
Now think about this lineup that he's facing. Last 3 wins for the Orioles, they have scored 7 runs, 12 runs, and 11 runs. You were mentioning their numbers earlier tonight, Mike. This is a lineup that can obviously do some damage, especially recently.
When you look at their lineup tonight, it's not just the average, which they can hit as a collective group, but they have 8 guys in the lineup tonight, double-digit home runs. Rickert hitting 9th is the only one that is not.
Sorry, Joey. Good player. We saw him come off the bench last night. Getting the start tonight in right field for Seth Smith, the left-hander up on the mound. Strike 3 call. Albers has had the number of Chris Davis. Faced him twice. A couple of strikeouts. MLB.TV every night, every device. Watch all out-of-market regular season games live. Plus, get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Just visit MLB.TV for details. Here is Wellington Castillo. Castillo's been on the move a little bit the last couple of years. Mariners acquired him from the Cubs back in 2015, and we say former Mariner Wellington Castillo, but if you blinked, you missed his reign in Seattle. He played all of 8 games in a Mariners uniform.
It counts, Aaron.
It does count. It certainly counts. Went on to Arizona from there, then now Baltimore.
Having a good year for Baltimore. Came into the game hitting .283 with 12 home runs.
Mariners originally acquired him for Yoervis Medina. A great knuckle curveball. Medina was a part of that just tremendous bullpen for the Mariners back in 2014. Had a fantastic year. 2015 was not quite the same. Has not been in the big league since. But Castillo, after his short stay with the Mariners, traded over to the Diamondbacks, part of the Trumbo deal. Checks a swing, holds back.
There's a slow curveball. We've seen that a few times. 69 miles an hour. Earlier, I believe at 67.
He struck out Mancini looking at 69. Not sure he even saw that speed in batting practice earlier today. Flattens out for Gene Segura. There's out number 3. Second straight inning that we have seen him. Well, this time facing the minimum. Last time facing 4, but we go to the bottom of the 4th. Guillermo Heredia getting set to lead things off for the Mariners. So far, Wade Miley having given up just 1 hit. That was Heredia back in the 1st.
We've had 2 base runners. Nelson Cruz walked. We haven't had anybody in scoring position yet.
For Wade Miley, the highlight of his Mariners career coming back in April of last year, complete game shutout against the Royals. We were in Chicago at the deadline last season. Some interleague play at Wrigley Field when Miley was traded to the Orioles. Ariel Miranda coming to the Mariners in exchange. Line left field, and Guillermo Heredia 2 for 2 tonight against Miley. Heredia burning into second base, and he slides into the double. Now there is a runner in scoring position now for the first time tonight.
Always runs hard. Little breaking ball off the end of the bat. If you want to get to second base on a base hit like this, you have to hustle right away, and that's exactly what we've seen from Heredia all year.
Got there pretty easily. RBI chance now for Robinson Cano.
Robbie with 75 RBIs on the year.
Taking a very close ball 1 to begin the at-bat. You were talking about Cano and the likelihood of him eventually landing in Cooperstown, and we were looking this up way back in spring training. If Robbie has his usual 30 double season, which he has had every year of his career, he would land on the all-time doubles list right between Ricky Henderson and Babe Ruth.
That's a pretty good list.
Speaking of Cooperstown. Ball and 2 strikes.
Robbie now 25 doubles on the year.
Cano is the first big leaguer to ever log 30 doubles in his first 11 seasons in the majors. Trying to do that now for the 13th consecutive year. The all-time record, by the way, for 30 double seasons is 16. And then you got to go back a little while to find these guys, Tris Speaker and Stan the Man. So
I've heard of them.
You've heard of those guys.
Yeah.
Robbie not too far off. The 2-2. Full count to Cano with Heredia at second and Cruz on deck.
A little bit surprised to see him challenge him with a fastball, middle of the plate, towards the top of the strike zone. A little bit late on the swing. Robbie probably saw that slider in the back of his mind.
Tying run with tremendous speed is at second. Cano the go ahead. The 3-2. Davis down to a knee. Pushes Heredia into third base, 1 out. And a runner at 90 feet from home. Well, time now to take a look at tonight's T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball break. Last 20 games, Joey Votto reaching base multiple times each time. And you can see the numbers here. The OPS, the on base is just absurd. Votto this year leading the majors in walks, on base, and OPS. He is now a game shy, speaking of Hall of Famers, of tying Teddy Ballgame for the most consecutive games reaching base multiple times. Williams did it in 21 straight games back in 1948. First pitch, Nelson Cruz. We've got a tied ball game. Nelly adding on to his league-leading RBI tally. You can put him down now for 96. He is even the score at 1.
And no surprise, being aggressive early in the count. It's a breaking ball. He walked his first time up. He knows that they're going to be careful with him. With a runner at third, just the 1 out. Wants to put the ball in play early. Picks up a base hit. It's paid off with the RBI. Next pitch will be 60 for Miley. Danny Valencia. Danny hit the ball hard his first time up, lined out to the left fielder.
Now, Mike, this sequence may be worth looking into a little bit. Obviously, the leadoff double for Heredia. Cruz gets the payoff with the RBI base hit, but not to be overlooked. Cano able to push Heredia into third base to set up the whole thing.
No, you're right. And talk about it all the time. That there are outs. In today's game, it changes a lot, and that's why we talk a lot about sacrifice bunting. You don't see a lot of it anymore, but there still are productive outs. And with somebody like Robbie up there, you're not going to have him bunt. But you would hope that if he's going to make an out, doesn't pick up a base hit, that he'll move the runner along, and he was able to do that.
Danny not happy at the knees, 2-1. Now Valencia robbed of a base hit his last time up. That was in the second. And a sprinting catch by Trey Mancini in left field onto the warning track. Soft loop. Schoop backs up a step to play it on a hop. For the first base, not nearly in time. They get Cruz, lead man. That's out number 2. Valencia is aboard. Two outs. Valencia at first base for Mike Zunino.
Mike saw a few fastballs in his first event. Ended up striking out looking on a fastball at the knees.
Takes inside for ball 1. Miley this year has copped up 18 home runs. And now Zunino ahead 3-0. Martin on deck. Now right-handers have done all the damage to Miley this year. 17 of those 18 home runs. 4-pitch walk. Very borderline take there by Zunino. He gets paid off at first base. Two on with 2 out. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. Good looking pair right there. Two outs, 2 on for Martin. Now Miley, for the most part this year, has really neutralized left-handed hitters. They're barely hitting .210 against him. And only 3 extra base hits from left-handed bats against Miley.
3 lefties in the lineup for the Mariners. Basically stayed with the cutter and slider, working the ball away from him. We talked about it. He can lose the strike zone from time to time, and it appears to be the case here in this inning.
And 6 straight balls.
His pitch count up to 70 now, working here in the 4th.
Cruz driving in the tying run here in this inning. It was Guillermo Heredia who got things going, a leadoff double. His second hit tonight off of Miley. Go ahead run. Valencia at second. Zunino at first. The 2-0. Another pitch missing. Hasn't missed by much on a number of these offerings, but not in the strike zone.
We'll see how Scott wants to play it. If he's going to let him swing 3-0.
A strike. .25 pitches this inning for Miley. Albers looking on, hoping to see the Mariners give him some more run support. outside, now inside. A couple of pitches on the fringe. Both strikes. Now full count to Martin. The 3-2. Ends the inning. Mariners straight a couple, but they get a run, and they have tied this game up through 4. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Come try the new Smoky Jack Burger or Chicken Sandwich, limited time only. By BNSF Railway, sponsor of the BNSF Blast. By Money Tree, proud to make a donation to Mariners Care for every Mariners win. And by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. On to the 5th. This game now tied at 1. Nelson Cruz tying it up. And back of Guillermo Heredia leadoff double. 9-1-2 due up for the Orioles. Here's Joey Rickard. Looks at a first pitch strike. We'll go down to the Ford Sports Desk. We welcome in Ryan Rowland-Smith. And Ryan, we are all having a chance to watch Andrew Albers for the first time. What have you made of him so far through 4 innings?
Yeah, I think he looks good. You could see the nerves a little bit in that first couple innings, especially the first inning. Coming on, to another team. Brand new. Mike Zunino's trying to get a feel for him, what he does, and that fastball command was a bit, how you doing? But now he's starting to really settle in, get comfortable, and make some big outs and start locating that breaking ball. But I've got to give it to him. I've been there before, where you've been absolutely dealing in AAA, and you just hope someone notices it to get an opportunity to pitch. 120 innings into his season, and here he is pitching with the Mariners.
Ryan, what do you think of his changeup so far tonight?
Looks good. Once he's able to locate that pitch and locate that fastball, it looks good. And you can see, the numbers he's got in AAA in Gwinnett with the Braves. Only 19 walks, 120 innings, so he can command these pitches. It's just a matter of getting that good feeling and getting the nerves out of the way.
He looks like, you mentioned his fastball command and the quality of the strikes, especially early in the counts. I've been impressed with tonight, and it's obvious that he can pitch to both sides of the plate. We've seen him elevate his fastball a few times. Do you think that is by design, or is he just missing up top?
I think a little bit of that early is missing. Just trying to yank that pitch in, especially when you see Mike Zunino set up in. This is early in the game, and all of a sudden he's pulling that front side, and that ball stays up in the zone. But you can see now he's starting to put guys away, especially with 2 strikes, and getting efficient. That pitch count's really healthy right now, here in the 5th inning. So that's good to see too. This team needs that. This pitching staff definitely needs that.
Hey Ryan, before we let you go, I'd love to get your perspective on Giancarlo Stanton, who is now homered in 6 consecutive games. We mentioned earlier he's closing in on Griffey's all-time record of 8 in a row. And you faced Griffey at one point. Were you booed when you faced Griffey for the first time, Ryan? Am I remember this correctly?
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. Hey, let's not forget what the result was, right? You know what's funny?
Right.
You know what's funny about that? I got a chance to obviously to play with Ken Griffey Jr. a few years later, and I said to him, I said, hey, you realize, you were my first out. You were the first guy I ever faced. He goes, oh, no way, really? I was like, first of all, I was upset he didn't even know that. Second of all, I said to him, I said, you're going to ask me how you did? He goes, oh, how'd I do? I said, oh, I struck you out. And he goes, oh, that's good. You can tell your grandkids.
Oh, there we go. Very nice. But can you imagine facing a guy who is as locked in as Nelson Cruz as we have seen, especially so far this month, or what we're seeing in Miami with Stanton, who's homered in 6 consecutive? What's that like?
It's tough. I'm telling you, when you've got a guy, you can see, you can look at the stat sheet, you're doing your plan before the game, and there's always like one guy, hey, don't let this guy beat you. But situations when there's no one on, this is the worst time. When there's no one on and you have to challenge these guys. The one guy I remember who a lot of people struggle with, especially me, Vladimir Guerrero, was that one guy in the middle of that lineup. It didn't matter what pitch you threw, he was crushing that ball. And if the only time you get him out is if he's crushing that ball right at someone.
Ryan, you mentioned it. Was there ever a guy, regardless of the situation of the game, who was on, or if nobody is even on, and you decided, you know what, I don't care, I am not going to throw this guy a strike?
This is a strange one. Alex Rios, for whatever reason, I felt like I could never get him out, and there was always that big situation with runner on second. I'll just throw that slider. Oh, I missed it down and in. Okay, yeah, take your base. You're good.
Ryan, we appreciate the insights. We'll be catching up with you post-game, presented by Alaska Airlines. Fastball from Espinosa over to first, and Albers continues to roll second straight frame, facing the minimum. As we move to the bottom of the fifth inning, take a look at the Mariners calendar, brought to you by Mattress Firm. Day baseball tomorrow. Mariners matinee to wrap up the only homestand this month. 12:40 our first pitch time. We're on the air at noon. Travel day on Thursday, then the 14-day odyssey for the Mariners gets underway. We hope to see you right back here at Safeco Field to start September. The A's coming to town. The always popular Salute to Kids Day on Sunday, September 3rd. Danny Espinosa leads off the bottom of the fifth for the Mariners. I heard Ryan talking about Vladimir Guerrero.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised, Mike, that he was not a first ballot Hall of Famer. He was very close. He got nearly 72% of the vote. You need 3/4, 75%. But you look at his numbers in his career, and he is truly one of the all-time best. It seems inevitable that he'll be going in with the next class, possibly with Edgar.
Did you get a chance to watch much of him?
A little bit, yes.
Career? He was amazing to me. You could not set him up, and you didn't have to throw him a strike.
To the gap in right center field, and a base hit. For Danny Espinosa, he motors into second base. Enough double. Takes us to our Columbia Bank difference of the game as Gerard Dyson is coming up tonight. Mike on his 33rd birthday. How about this strike?
What a great throw. Perfect strike to Mike Zunino at the plate. His 11th outfield assist on the year. He has led the American League all year long. Showing a great arm, but also a very accurate arm. And with that, we'll try to move Espinosa up to third base. Machado at third, playing in on the grass. Going to take the bunt away from him.
Emilio Pagan getting loose. He's well rested. We have not seen Emilio since Friday when he threw just 6 pitches.
See if he wants to swing away now that he has the count in his favor, 2-0.
Miley off the mound, bobbles everybody safe. Espinosa into third, Dyson at first.
And we've talked a lot about the speed of the Mariners. Espinosa runs well, and Miley just trying to be a little bit too quick. You can see he drops it on the transfer. And a break for the Mariners. Back to the top of the lineup. Do the third time through.
Segura a chance to give the Mariners the lead.
Miley has a good move. So he picked off Heredia.
Dyson at first, Espinosa at third. Mariners trying to get runs in back-to-back innings against Wade Miley. Pulled foul, not by much, 1-1. Miley faced just 1 over the minimum through the first 3 innings. Then a lengthy 4th. Shaping up to maybe be more of the same here in the 5th. Segura ahead.
And we showed Pagan getting loose earlier. Nobody getting loose in Baltimore's bullpen. Good homestand for Gene.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Mariners trying to take the lead for the first time of this series. Still 2-2.
Right now, James is trying to put the ball in play.
Another foul. Now the final in the books affecting the wild card race. Twins getting throttled tonight at home by the Indians. So the Twins have moved outside of that second wild card. Had a three-way tie for a brief period of time. As we speak, Mariners 2 games out of the second wild card. And played through the left side. That's where both run-scoring hits have found their way through here tonight. Mariners have taken the lead thanks to Gene Segura. 2-1 Mariners.
Quite a battle. Had to foul off a number of pitches, but finally finds a breaking ball. Probably down out of the strike zone, but stays with it, gets the barrel to it. A lot of topspin on the second hop as it works its way through the infield. Mariners take the lead. Bring up Heredia. Heredia is 2 for 2. Veteran Darren O'Day getting loose. See side armor.
Now, does not take a whole lot to score Dyson from second. First 3 men reaching here in the bottom of the 5th. Already a 2 for 2. The double run scored earlier.
And some great speed on the bases for the Mariners.
Mike, we've talked about this from time to time, especially with the state of the rotation for the Mariners, putting a little bit more emphasis on the offense and maybe even doing a little bit more damage than what they would normally hope to do. And this seems like one of those opportunities. Miley against the ropes, pitch count nearing 90 here in the 5th. Chance to knock him out and really get to the bullpen.
You have to. You have to lean on your offense, I think, over the next couple of weeks until the roster expands and you can add more pitching. We're going to see the bullpen change constantly over the next 2 weeks, so the offense can help them out. And when you consider that Baltimore, again, 14th in ERA, so next to last in the American League, and you have a starter out there with an ERA over 5.
Backs up Beckham to Scope. That's all they'll get. Dyson into third.
Mariners now 2 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Scope knows he can't get the double play, so he throws behind Dyson, but paying attention. Head up. I'm sure Manny Acto, the third base coach, yelling at him too. Let him know that the throw was on its way.
Now see what Robbie can do now. 1 out runners on the corners. Keep an eye on Heredia. Picked him off back of the first. To Davis. Whips a toss down to second. And Heredia takes out Beckham, who's not too pleased about it. Dyson has crossed home. And it's 3-1 Mariners. Like, I can't remember the last time we've seen that visual.
Well, it's one of the things, too. And I think it's a good slide. He goes straight in, which he's fine. And we'll take a look at Beckham. I think he gets there just in time. But there, I don't see anything wrong with that slide at all. Right over the top of the base. Almost actually stepped on him.
Well, nothing coming from Buck Showalter.
Bit of old school hard baseball right there.
You know, you wonder if shortstops now the last couple of years have become so programmed to that not even almost being a possibility that you don't even think about jumping like you did just a few years ago.
Yeah, you have to wonder, because you're right. It's rare to see that where you even have an opportunity to take him out at second. Probably will pick up an RBI.
Ball on to Cruz. Now, we mentioned earlier how much right-handed hitting has battered Wade Miley. 17 of the 18 home runs that he's allowed. Now they going deep. Last night, a home run shy of number 30 on the year.
Swing away, Nelly. Swing away, baby.
See what Cruz wants to do on 3-0.
He's green light.
Takes inside, a 4-pitch walk.
Tell by that take he was ready to swing. He wanted to hit. Don't blame him.
Here comes Buck.
Second walk for him.
Now, Miley was cruising over the first 3 innings, but the 4th and now the 5th have not been quite as kind by Mariners hitters. They have taken the lead. A couple of runs in and a chance for more. Darren O'Day coming on in relief. Strikeout games in a season since 2000. Chris Sale climbing the charts with 16 now. But how about former Mariner Randy Johnson? 23 in 2000, 22 in 2001. Both Cy Young seasons for Randy in Arizona. The 2 middle years of him winning 4 Cy Youngs in a row. Now the final line on Wade Miley tonight, Mike.
4 2/3, 5 hits, 3 runs. All of them earned. He is responsible for the 2 base runners that are out there. 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, 95 pitches, 53 strikes for him. Darren O'Day, the veteran, going to take over. Sidearm. 45 appearances on the year, a 1-3 record, a 4.43 ERA, 52 strikeouts over 20 walks. Opponents hitting just 200 against him. He has given up 6 home runs. Fastball, slider. His fastball on average right around 88 miles an hour.
This is the Gator versus the Hurricane. Valencia from the U, Miami. O'Day going to where Mike Zunino went. University of Florida. is not easy for a reliever who does not regularly pitch the ninth to find his way to the Midsummer Classic. But O'Day did that back in 2015, a career season and nearly 70 appearances for Buck Showalter, had an ERA just barely a tick or two above 1.5. Two on, two out. And for O'Day this season, this has been his toughest since coming to Baltimore back in 2012. Mariners saw him on a far more regular basis during his time in Arlington with the Rangers. The 1-2 swings right through it. Mariners strand two that they get to this inning. 5 innings completed. Mariners have a 3-1 lead. Pitching to the big leagues for the first time since last year with the Twins, and his evening rather has come to a close. He has most certainly kept the Mariners in this ball game. A little rocky the first couple of innings, a home run in the first, but steadied out from there as we take a look at our Union 76 driving spirit. His final line tonight.
And again, we thought this would be the case. The scout service would like to see him get through the lineup a couple of times. He was able to do that, giving up just the solo home run. 77 pitches on the night, 54 strikes for him, just 6 hits.
That leads us to our Beacon Plumbing call to the pin as Emilio Pagan well rested up on the mound now for the Mariners.
And with the Mariners taking the lead, he will go to the bullpen, and it'll be Pagan. Probably try to get a couple of innings out of him. He's really thrown the ball well. Everybody available in the bullpen.
They'll face Scope, Jones, and Mancini here in the 6th. I mentioned he's well rested. You look at Pagan and the recent week of activity for him. He's thrown just 5 pitches since Wednesday, when he had a really pretty efficient 2 2/3 innings. A foul ball, making it 0-2. Three pitches, all strikes. Scope sat down.
Mark Zepchinski getting loose in the pen. And we'll take a look at it. Breaking ball down out of the strike zone. Lefty in the lineup, Chris Davis. Let's do the 5th in this inning. As you see Mark getting loose.
One out, nobody on for Adam Jones. Stings the first pitch foul, 0-1. And when Jones made his major league debut with the Mariners, it was in Toronto, and he described his first night in a major league hotel as a scene from Home Alone. A little bit different than down in the minor leagues. One and two. I remember Val's story of his first big league hotel. I think it was in Kansas City, and the old hotel that the Mariners used to stay at was near the ballpark, and he could press his nose up to the glass like a puppy and look out and see inside Kauffman Stadium, and just the anticipation that he had for the next day.
That'd be pretty awesome. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Cutting right through it. Back-to-back strikeouts. This one at 96. Well, this season, for every Mariners hit, Fred Hutch will receive a donation from Mariners Care and the Kyle Seeger versus Cancer Foundation. Hits for Hutch is our way of supporting the life-saving research taking place at Seattle's own Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. Ball one to Mancini.
Elio with a good breaking ball tonight. His fastball's been right around 94 miles an hour.
A lift out to center field, but Dyson coming in a few strides to haul it in. And Emilio Pagani, very efficient 1-2-3 6th inning in back of Andrew Albers going 5. He begins the 6th for Buck Showalter and the Orioles.
Well, nobody else getting loose in the pen. The Mariners, the left-handers do. Martin waiting on deck. Switch hitter in Espinosa, then the lefty Dyson.
Rolled a strike to make it 1-1.
It's one of his better fastballs at 89. Average fastball this year at 88.
Fair to say plenty of deception from O'Day.
Yes, that's why he's been around for a long time. Really good command of his slider too. He can get it to the outside corner against righties or throw it off the plate to get you to chase it.
All 4 pitches clustered together to Zunino. 2-2. And this, as we alluded to for the previous batter face for O'Day, this is the all-Florida Gator matchup. O'Day versus Zunino. Mike, who had just an absolutely prolific career in Gainesville. Inside, that gets him. Mike reaching for the 2nd time.
Normally you'd think he'd be able to get out of the way, but you have to be aware of the big sweeping slider off the top of the forearm for Mike.
Now, tougher to miss that forearm than maybe most.
I would say that he probably barely felt that at all. Like typically will get hit a number of times over the course of a summer. He rarely gets out of the way.
Castillo getting in between, but Mike saying nothing brewing here. Zunino aboard for Martin. First pitch into right field, a foul ball.
Thought it had a chance. Martin certainly thought it was going to be fair. Fastball probably middle away from him.
Now, for as tough as O'Day has been historically to right-handed hitters, it's been even tougher this year to lefties. Left-handers hitting 173 against O'Day this season. Do have 4 home runs, 4 of the 6 that he's allowed.
It's surprising to see that number. The arm angle that he has. Again, his velocity upper 80s with a sweeping slider. Left-handers be able to handle him a little bit better than that.
You'd think so.
Certainly picked the ball up earlier than right-handers.
Nobody out. Zunino at first base. The 0-2 to Martin. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Strike 3 call. Outside edge, 1 out. Enjoy Mariners baseball and great savings with triple play ticket nights at the ballpark presented by Safeco Insurance. This special offer includes a ticket, hot dog, and Pepsi or beer for as low as $26. For a list of event dates, just visit mariners.com/specials. You mentioned last night, game 1 of the series, that Buck Showalter was the manager of that 1995 Yankees team you guys faced, Mike, in the dramatic series highlighted by Edgar's double. And it's been interesting talking to Buck over the years about a variety of things, but in particular that series and Edgar Martinez in particular, and how he referenced as a manager managing against Edgar. When you get reports back from your advanced scouts with the upcoming series against the Mariners, he said you were hopeful that they would tell you that this is that 1, maybe 2 times a year, that 5 to 6 day period of time where Edgar's swing was maybe just a little bit out of rhythm.
Yeah,
that's what you were hoping for.
That's what you're hoping for, and that's basically all you could hope for, especially at that time. Great hitter.
And he probably still found a way to get on base at least once a night, even if his swing was a little out of whack.
He'd walk 100 times a year. And we've heard a lot of managers, especially this year, talking about Edgar and just what a great hitter he was, especially late in games, trying to manage that situation, knowing that he was going to hit.
Espinosa down on 3 pitches, back-to-back strikeouts. We hope you can join us tomorrow. Final game of the series in homestand. Day baseball. We hit the airwaves at noon. 12:40 our first pitch time. Marco Gonzalez making his 4th start of the season for the Mariners, coming over from the Cardinals organization, taking on longtime big leaguer Ubaldo Jimenez. Two outs and back of Zunino's hit by pitch. In steps Dyson. It was Dyson who has scored the most recent run of this game. Mariners run in the 4th, 2 runs in the 5th. Evens up 1 ball and 1 strike.
Tony Zick also getting loose. Mark Zepchenski.
Misap Pagan working a very quick 1-2-3 6th inning following Albers making his Mariners debut, a run over 5. Dyson trying to extend this inning and hand things over to Gene Segura, who's on deck. The 1-2. Up the middle. Beckham goes to first base. Zunino close to second base. Dyson is retired, and that ends 6. Mariners take the lead onto the 7th.
Tink here at the Ford Sports Desk, and you know we believe here at Root Sports that it's never too early to get them starting rooting for the Mariners. The hashtag to use is Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. Gil sends this one in of Rowan, ready for another cruise missile. The hashtag again to use is Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. And Katie sends this one in of Brandy. Got her bow in her hair. She's all ready to go, watching the Mariners tonight. And finally, underwater. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm rooting from Oahu, scuba diving. Yeah, watch out for the sharks. Once again, the hashtag to use is Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines, and we'll try to get your photo on the air, guys.
All right, thank you, Angie. Pagan facing Trumbo to begin the 7th.
See if Scott Service wants to go with matchups in this inning. We showed Zepchinski, Zick getting loose in the pen. Trumbo, the right-hander, then the lefty, Chris Davis after that, and then a couple more righties. So we might match it up to get through the 7th.
Waving wildly at that pitch, 0-2. Look at the numbers this year for Pagan, and making his 15th appearance this year, so it's not as though he's been here all season, as we all know. But when he's worked, more times than not, he's worked in multiple inning situations, and you consider the fact that he has the lowest whip of any reliever right now for the Mariners. Just simply limiting the number of base runners that get on when he's pitching. Pretty impressive.
Well, I could tell you the last few times that I've talked to Scott Service about the bullpen, his name always comes up.
Has to.
The confidence that he's gained in the young man has happened quickly. Especially when you consider the way it looks right now. Benson typically is going to pitch in the 8th and Diaz in the 9th when they have a lead. Trying to get it to him. See what he wants to do.
He strikes out his 3rd batter in 4 faced.
It's a good fastball. His fastball on average tonight 94 miles an hour. Throwing a lot of strikes. 15 pitches, 12 strikes. And looks like he's going to stay with them. He was the one left-hander, a couple of righties after that.
A high slug, but underneath it too much. Out to right field. Martin waited a while. 2 up, 2 down. Well, how about we take a look at our Geico this date in big league history? We go back to this day in 1993. Mike Nolan Ryan wins his 324th and final game. His final appearance, final start that is, in the majors would come not long after that. September 22nd at the Kingdom. Did not record an out.
I was there.
You would have been the 2nd guy to face him after he left, if that makes any sense. I don't think it does. Dan Howard. I don't know a good way to explain that. Dan Howard hit 5 home runs in his major league career. Hit a grand slam against Nolan Ryan that day.
And he went opposite barrel, the other way. Yeah, which was unusual for Dan also.
Castillo fouls it back. The Kingdom was jam-packed for Nolan that day. Everybody knowing the situation with Nolan Ryan. But that would have been the first time that you would have faced him?
It would have been, yeah. So I was disappointed. I wanted to stand in there. The one thing about him, though, and I thought this throughout my time watching him pitch and watching him do his thing, that if you were to say that he was going to hurt his arm, and that would be the end of his career, the way that he threw the pitch and walked off that mound was exactly what you would think Nolan Ryan, the Texan, would do it. Just matter of fact, that's it. It was
like he actually didn't feel anything, you're saying?
No, like I'm sure that he did,
right.
But he didn't show it, and he didn't ask for any help, and he just walked off. That was it.
Emilio Pagan just straight up dealing once again here tonight. He faces the minimum over 2 innings. with 4 strikeouts along the way. Lottery get out and play today. We make our way to the bottom of the 7th. Mariners holding a 3-1 lead over the Orioles, trying to even up this series, set up a chance for a series win tomorrow. Michael Gibbons, a new pitcher up on the mound for Buck Showalter.
51 appearances, a 7-1 record, a 2.31 ERA. So he has pitched well for Baltimore. Opponent's hitting just 192. He has given up 7 home runs this year. Good fastball, an average 96 miles an hour, slider and a changeup to go with it. At the top of the order for the Mariners, Segura going to start things here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Segura, Ready, and Cano.
First pitch to Segura. Goes after it, fouls it away. Along the lines of Nolan Ryan, Mike. We are around obviously retired big leaguers all the time. You in particular. And earlier this year when we were in Houston, hours before the game, this is 3 o'clock, 3:30 maybe, walking the concourse up by the press box level at Minute Maid Park. Nobody in sight except for the man walking the other way towards me, and that was Nolan Ryan. And it was about as terrifying of a slow stroll past another human being as possible. You know, the concourse is in the 200 level essentially there as Segura picks up his second hit. They're pretty wide. They're pretty wide there. It's not like you're shoulder to shoulder. And I almost felt like I needed to kind of veer away and give Nolan some space. And it was just kind of a slight nod of the head. And it was.
You didn't just stare him down?
I didn't just stare him down. Yeah. Just didn't break out my recorder and say, "Can we talk for 5 minutes?" It was intimidating.
He has always had, for as long as I've seen him, a presence about him that is different than most. But he's Nolan Ryan.
Absolutely.
I'll never forget. I don't know what year it was, but it was when he was with the Rangers. I don't know if you were there at the time, but he would come down and he would sit right next to the Rangers dugout, front row, right there. And there was a particular night that it was raining. It was raining hard. He did not want to call the game, and he sat in that seat in the rain the entire time. Everybody else was gone. He was the only one there. And I thought to myself, okay, as a player, I'm thinking this is borderline whether we should be playing or not. But if the president and the Hall of Famer is sitting in the rain while we're playing, okay, I'm fine with that.
You know, Nolan, when he was a part of the ownership group there with the Rangers, and he would sit behind home plate, they would have an actual in-game TV hit with Nolan in game. They would bring a headset to Nolan Ryan in between innings. They would wheel a whole cart full of audio gear over to his seat.
Why wouldn't you?
Bring obviously a camera over there as well.
Yeah.
And there was a live in-game interview between the guys who do what we do and Nolan Ryan, basically breaking down what he's seen that night. Imagine if you're a guy like Andrew Albers and you're making your debut with that particular team and you got Nolan right behind home with a headset on breaking you down. Well, he doesn't throw as hard as I used to.
Well, the other thing we talk about all the time, especially in today's game, is pitch counts. And that was one of the things that changed when Nolan took over there. It wasn't a problem in his eyes for the guys to throw 115, 120, because he used to go out and throw 150.
Segura at first base. Ready with a flare into right field. Joey Rickard is there. 1 out. While the Mariners hit the field, your youngsters can hit the playfield. Stop by the Seattle Children's Playfield next time you're at the ballpark, where your kids can enjoy a playground. Wishing you well and more. You know, along those lines, Mike, I was thinking about it as it pertains to Randy Johnson. We just saw an inning or so ago the numbers for Randy. Most double-digit strikeout games in a season since 2000, as we were referencing it to what Chris Sale is doing this year for the Red Sox. And you look at his career, you look at the baseball reference page of Randy Johnson and Cy Young season with the Mariners, 4 more with the Diamondbacks. This is ripped into right field, a foul ball.
That's a couple of times tonight.
The evidence.
A little bit closer to being fair, but a couple of different times. They get it on the other side of the line.
A fine eye by Bobby Wilson on the camera. But I did wonder, how in the world did Randy stay healthy? All those pitches, that delivery, just that build.
A tremendous amount of work went into it. I can tell you that. I know from myself watching him, because early on it was rarely, if ever, his arm. It was his back. His lower back is where he had a lot of problems, and so he constantly had to work on that part of it. I'm sure the travel when you're on the plane for 5.5 hours didn't help him at being 6'10". But he put in a lot of work. And he always kind of stayed ahead of it. You see guys now that they have the bow out there and they're moving around to try to strengthen their shoulder. Randy was doing that. Back when we were teammates. Yeah, he was always ahead of the game on that type of stuff, and part of it was because he had to. When you think of his frame at 6'10", throwing 100 miles an hour, throwing in a given night, it could be 150.
Sure.
He was constantly 135, 40. He had to take care of himself, and he spent a career doing just that.
Ball and 2 strikes on Robbie.
I can remember Randy one time where it was a bit of an arm issue, and it was when my first year in big league camp with the Expos, and Randy was still there before he was traded to Seattle, and he had bursitis or something in his shoulder. But that's the only time I can ever remember. That was in spring training, him having issues with his arm.
Some more heat from Gibbons. 2 outs. I don't know if we're going to see another guy, and I don't mean in terms of the build or the repertoire or just the dominance of Randy. There won't be another guy like him, but just to see a guy that goes that long, that many innings, we certainly won't see a guy who gets the pitch count like that every 5 days. That's the thing of the past.
That will not happen. They just won't let it happen.
It's so one of a kind. Talking about Nolan, talking about Randy.
Yeah, I agree.
2 outs, Segura at first base. Nelson Cruz has reached base 3 times. A couple of walks, an RBI single. The thing about Nelson is the power in this lineup, and he certainly is, but he entered tonight tied with Gene Segura for the best on base percentage for the Mariners this season.
getting loose in the pen for the Mariners. Pitch the 8th.
Time call. Along the lines of Hall of Famers, Jim Palmer, Hall of Fame pitcher for the Orioles, now on TV with Baltimore, was talking about Safeco Field being a pitcher's park, and then he said, well, unless Nelson Cruz is batting. Pretty good point. He saw Nelson for a year in Baltimore.
You know, I was thinking when you were talking about Randy, and Palmer certainly is in that group too, along with Nolan Ryan, but I think Randy probably he has to be one of the last pitchers where you would see the manager go out and actually ask him how he feels. So because Randy maybe was at 124 and he would leave it up to Randy to decide. And depending on the type of game or where he was at as far as the season goes, he would have to trust what he had to say.
Because I do wonder how many times is
now it's the pitch count. You get to it, or you get to the lineup twice, and you're out.
And how many pitchers are there right now who actually command the respect of a manager that they can talk their way to keep going if the pitch count is at the mark or even beyond it?
Yeah,
probably not a whole lot.
Not a lot.
Nelson Cruz down on strikes. Segura stranded after the leadoff single. We go to the 8th.
Hi, everybody. Angie Mentink here at the Ford Sports Desk. And keep sending us your photos using the hashtag #WhereIRoot, and we'll try to get them on the air. I love this one from Cannon Beach. Brian sends it in. That's not a mermaid. I believe that's a merman there with the sand ensemble. And then we've got this one from Billings, Montana. Megan sends it in after the Edgar weekend, wishing he was still in the stands. Remember to use that hashtag #WhereIRoot, presented by Alaska Airlines. And we're back, and then we're going again. Zepp is on his way in. We'll be back. We're in the top of the 8th here at Safeco Field.
Final day of this homestand tomorrow. 12:40 our first pitch time day baseball from Safeco Field against Baltimore. Then the road trip, the great long road trip for the Mariners begins. 3 in Tampa, 3 interleague games against the Braves and a day off. Weekend series in the Bronx, and then wrapping things up with these Birds in Baltimore at Camden Yards before the Mariners come back home to face the A's to start September, as Mark Stepchinski is our Beacon Plumbing call to the pin.
45 appearances, 2-0 record, ERA right at 3. Opponent's hitting .212. Good sinking fastball at 92 miles an hour. Slider, occasional changeup. Former Mariner Seth Smith pinch hitting.
Another strong outing by Emilio Pagan. 6 up, 6 down with 4 strikeouts. Shift is on for Seth Smith. Slice into Dyson in left center. Tracks it down for round number 1.
And now it'll be Nick Vincent.
Short night of work for Mark Stepchinski. Right-handed bat Tim Beckham is due up next. Got a pitching change. Tonight the Orioles got things cooking early. Jonathan Scope, his 26th home run of the season, 3 batters into the ball game. Baltimore taking an early 1-0 lead.
But then Nelson Cruz, who leads the league in RBIs, picks up a base hit and drives in a run. Heredia scoring.
Mariners able to even things up and then going to work more in the 5th inning. Gene Segura, base hit through the left side, bringing in the go-ahead run. Danny Espinosa scoring from third base.
And then Robbie, good hustle to beat this out. Nice slide by Heredia, but another run will score as Dyson scores.
Beckham had a beef, but nothing happened. Clean slide. Mariners a 3-1 lead as Nick Vincent takes over.
And for Nick, 51 appearances, ERA just over 2. He has really pitched well for the Mariners this year. Opponents hitting .232. Fastball right around 90 miles an hour. Cutter 87, 88, and slider.
Well, Vincent, the freshest arm of the bullpen, has not worked since Tuesday. For a full week.
Probably needed the break. He was pitching a lot.
Ducks back him off the strike 1. Martin going back, now in a couple of steps. 2 down. Now facing the deadly right-handed bat of Manny Machado. First pitch, she stings it to Dyson, who comes in to haul it in. Mariners pitching has sat down the last 17 Orioles hitters in a row.
Here at the Ford Sports Test, there's so many cool things to see in our area. I love this one in my stomping grounds, Snoqualmie Falls. If you've never been there, it's absolutely gorgeous. Sonic sends this one in using the hashtag Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. It's a family affair sequence here. Father and son there, and then we've got this one, mother and daughter. Tara sends this one in from British Columbia. Use that hashtag Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines, and we'll try to get your photo on the air. Aaron.
All right, thank you, Angie. Take a look at Brad Brock, an all-star from a season ago, up on the mound now for the Orioles.
This will be his 50th appearance on the year. 53 strikeouts, over 15 walks. Opponent's hitting 194. He's given up 5 home runs this year. Good fastball at 95 miles an hour. Slider changeup.
Edwin Diaz getting loose. At this rate, we will see him in the ninth.
Valencia, Zunino, and Martin do up.
They appealed. He does not go. And it was Brock who was the man in charge, taking over the closing duties for the Orioles when Zach Britton landed on the disabled list. Here's 2-0. Makes it 3-0, missing with another fastball. Zunino on deck. He's reached base twice tonight without a hit. Brock really labored his last time out. That was on Friday. 21 pitches to get 2 outs. The 3-1. Too often times we are guilty of using the phrase a must-win game. It's not a must-win unless you face elimination, I suppose. But that being said, Mike, you look at the Mariners and the state of the Mariners entering this one today. The momentum of that road trip had disappeared after losing the first 5 of this homestand. I mentioned earlier, Paxton on the disabled list. A lot of things not going the way of the Mariners. Trying to get their first win of the homestand here tonight. Scope bends at the knees. Routine play for the Orioles second baseman. And the wild card race ever tight. And it looks like it will be until the final hours of the season. Take a look at the updated standings. The American League wild card. Yankees at the top. Royals and Angels tied for the second wild card. Mariners a half game in back of the Orioles. Things very clustered. The Mariners will be going off to Tampa Bay to begin this upcoming road trip. They're even with Baltimore. Twins just a half game out. But
and to your point, Aaron, that's exactly it right there. You're just looking at it. It's going to be difficult. There's a lot of teams involved in this thing. I think they all have their own issues, including the Mariners with the pitching. We've talked about it. Just hang in there. Right now, the Mariners are trying to find a way to get to September so that they're able to shorten games if they can. You're going to see a lot of guys out in the bullpen, so it's just a matter if they can stay close enough till that happens. And so this is a big road trip coming up. You'd like to get this one tonight and then go and win the series tomorrow. You can do that and then head out onto the road where they've played well. They've played well on the road. So, and a lot of those teams that we just saw on that list is where they're headed.
A ball and a strike to Zunino. You know, run differential can kind of be a fun barometer for some teams. That being said, it can be a little deceitful. A blowout win, a blowout loss here or there. You stack a couple of those up, that can kind of skew things. But you look at the Blue Jays, a team that was just on the outskirts of that last graphic. Toronto entered today having now suddenly won 3 in a row. The Blue Jays are 57-61 entering play this afternoon, and only 3.5 in back of the second wild card, with a -77 run differential. You mentioned every team has their flaws. Yeah. But all it takes is a good week for a team that's even less than that to get right into the mix.
And right now, because of that, I think that you're going to see a lot of emotion going on with all of these clubs. And it comes down to, you look at the Mariners coming off of the road trip. You mentioned it. Struggling here at home now. So you wonder what happened. And it doesn't take long to get things turned right back around and win 2 or 3 in a row.
First pitch, Martin through the right side, his first hit tonight. The new right fielder, Seth Smith.
Went aggressive on the first pitch, barrels it up. You can see him pull his hands inside to get the barrel to it. Going to bring up Danny Espinosa. Espinosa is 1 for 3, had a double and scored a run. Double out to right center field.
I cleared up the other day a long-standing mystery of Danny Espinosa, Mike. This is a guy. Well, first of all, he said he first had a shave when he was 10, which I don't know if that's too much of an over-exaggeration. But every spring, we see Danny's headshot in full caveman mode, and then we don't see a beard the whole year. And he confirmed that that is not always so intentional, but it's just the way that it works. He comes to spring every year with just the full grizzly man beard. Gets the headshot taken. Next day, clean shaven for the rest of the year. And the annual headshot for Danny Espinosa does not always quite look true to form to the way in which he is taking the field on a regular basis once the season starts.
I want to see you show up to spring training with your beard. Your beard next year.
I look shipwrecked. Nothing in one to Espinosa.
He started shaving when he was 10. You started shaving last year.
Well, it was on the last road trip, actually. Keeping Martin close. Two outs, a man aboard. I mean, how is that real? That's magnificent. Guys in the truck, I'm not exactly sure how you randomly place that headshot on the screen, but that made it even better. Mariners getting all their runs between the 4th and 5th innings. Espinosa getting the start today at third base. Kyle Seager under the weather with a stomach virus. We'll see if we see Kyle tomorrow for an earlier start time. 12:40 on first pitch. Inside, Martin taken out. The throw is safe. And we'll see if the Orioles want to take a look at this one.
Well, Beckham thinks that he was able to make the play. Pretty good play, too. Right there on the knee.
This does not seem like it will take too long for the guys in New York to figure out.
And to look at it, bounces off the grass. Yep, never dropped the ball at all. Martino ended up sliding right into his glove. His left knee right there.
Castillo walking off the mound, or walking up towards the dugout, thinking that he got him for sure. I'm like, you were teammates with Ricky Henderson. I wonder how many more stolen bases he would have on ones that he was ruled out had there been replay, and how many he would have lost on ones where he was called safe but actually out. But the all-time best base stealer. This will send us to the 9th.
Safeco Field. The Mariners hold on to a 3-1 lead. What a throw by Gerard Dyson tonight. Coming up on Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines. So we'll talk to the guys as they come off the field. We'll also head inside the clubhouse, hear from the players, Andrew Albers as well on tonight's start, and we will get you set for the finale. It's all coming up on Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines, guys.
All right, thank you, Angie. Time for Edwin Diaz to close this one down to the 9th inning.
Hard throwing right-hander for the Mariners. Mid to upper 90s with a slider. 50 appearances on the year, 25 saves, 3.4 ERA. Opponents hitting just 188 against him, 69 strikeouts and 50 in the third. He's going to get the middle of the lineup.
Scope, Jones, and Mancini. Scope has produced the only run of the game for the Orioles, that first inning home run. .98 miles an hour, making it 0-2. Late on 99 this time around.
Well located 99, right on the outside corner, elevated.
The 0-2. Segura ranging up to his left, gathers, one down.
Pretty good fastball, able to jam him. Weak ground ball short.
Now facing Adam Jones. Missing with the first pitch slider. To center. Playable for Dyson. 2 outs. Now the Mariners 1 out away from giving Andrew Albers his first win in his Mariners debut. Trying to pick up the first win of the homestand and setting up a chance for a series win tomorrow. Mancini just getting a piece.
Again, well located, 97, inside corner, above the belt, tough to get to it.
There's been Pagan, Zipchinski, Vincent, and now Diaz in back of Albers. 1-2. On their feet for this 1-2. Check swing, he goes. 20 in a row set down by Mariners pitching to end the game.
Just what they needed. What a game by Albers and the bullpen. Pretty good offense they were able to shut down tonight. Just enough offense for the Mariners. Quick turnaround, but they have a chance to win the series tomorrow.
And just what the Mariners needed. Chance for the series win. Day baseball 12:40. Our first pitch tomorrow. We're on the air at noon. Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines. It starts right now. Ryan, Brad, guys, it's all yours.
Aaron, Mike, thank you very much. The Mariners, nice to see the home team get to celebrate here at home as they win their first game on this homestand. Take a game after losing 5 straight, 3-1 the final. This one was a good one, Ryan. You needed this one.
Yeah, it was huge. And, you know, we all started with Andrew Albers. He was really good tonight. Once he settled in, he was tough to hit.
He was tough to hit, and the Mariners did just enough on offense and just enough on defense to back him. How about the third inning throw? Gerard Dyson nailing Machado at the plate. Take us through this one, Ryan.
Yeah, look at this off-balance throw. He's showing off that arm again. I don't understand why these guys keep testing him. That just sets a career high for him with 11 assists. That leads the MLB this year. Guys keep trying to test that arm, and again, doesn't have to set his feet up. He's off balance. He's just got so much arm strength. He's able to make a good throw and accurate too.
Turned himself into a really good defender, and a guy with now a plus arm. And you're right, I don't know why. After maybe 10 outfield assists, you would learn, but now 11, which leads the major leagues. And we'll talk a lot about Albers, and here's a guy coming back to the big leagues, and you touched on in the pregame. You thought he was gonna.
I told you.
You thought. I know we're gonna go Albers later, but right now let's get down the field and join Jen Mueller with the man with the arm, Gerard Dyson.
All right, you're talking about defense, so let's start there. Gerard Dyson leads MLB in outfield assists. He adds another one in the third inning. How did you line up that throw home to get Machado?
It was an awkward throw, but it was perfect. You know, I ran the ball down, did a great job, one hop to Z, perfect tag. We needed that.
It looked anything but awkward from our point of view. You also needed the run scored in the fifth inning. What was the key to dropping down that bunt to get Espinosa to third?
Just trying to do my job, move guys over, whatever it takes. I got a bunt down, we got him in. That was a perfect execution.
You end up scoring a couple batters later. Did you see what Heredia did to break up the double play on that one?
He went hard. You know, that's how we play. We play hard, go through the bag. He broke up the double play, allowed us to score a run, and we ended up with a win.
And this is the big question for you. It is your birthday today. How does the win figure into the celebration?
It was great. I told the boys I just want to win for my birthday. That's all I wanted. We got to win. That was big. You know, we had a rough series at home, but we're trying to turn things around.
Happy birthday, Gerard Dyson. Go and enjoy this one. As the Mariners do something they have done now just 5 times this year, win when scoring 3 or fewer runs.
All right, getting it done, Jen. Thank you. On his birthday. Happy birthday. Number 33 for Mr. Dyson out there in center field. Certainly not slowing down at all. Now we turn our attentions to Andrew Albers, because he was fantastic tonight. It's time now for our Liberty Mutual Insurance Player Profile. 5 innings, 6 hits, just 1 earned run. That was the first inning home run. 4 punch-outs, all in 77 pitches, winning his Mariner debut. Ryan, I know you enjoyed watching this guy pitch.
I did. We didn't know too much about the stuff. We knew the story about he's been scratching and clawing his way to get opportunities in the big leagues. A little bit shaky in the first inning, but once he settled in and he started locating that fastball and mixing in those good breaking balls, showing off that command, he was set to go. It only took him 77 pitches to get through 5 innings, some big outs too, getting the ground balls when you need to. I love seeing this. This is a guy who you can root for, a guy who comes in, he's been dealing down in AAA, and man, he looked really, really good tonight.
His 3rd win in his career, again his first with the Mariners, a much-needed 5-inning start that turned things over to the bullpen. Your key tonight, we'll get to that later. They were fantastic. And Eddie Diaz closing it out at 1-2-3-9.